The Aprés Ombré Gel-X tips really caught my attention, so I did a little bit of a haul, which I'll share with you today, and I'll also share my first impressions of these tips. Could they possibly be the easiest ombre ever? Stick around and we'll find out. I'm going to start off by showing you my mini haul, but if that's not something you're interested in seeing, I'm going to leave chapters so you can go ahead and skip to my Ombre Gel-X tip application. But the first thing I got is this Novice gel, which I was really curious about. So for their regular Gel-X Jelly Gel, they actually have Extend Gel, which is just a thicker gel, but the Novice gel is kind of like a solid type gel. So I was really curious to use this because I do kind of prefer the solid gels to the regular Gel-X gels, but I will say I don't like it too solid. So I like it kind of in between because I find that when it's too solid, it gets a little too thick. So I like kind of this consistency, and it was stickier than I thought it would be. So I will actually use like my cuticle pusher to kind of show you the consistency because it did end up sticking to my gloves. But I am really excited to try this because I do like the thicker gels like this consistency. I also did decide to pick up a bottle of their Extend Gel because I haven't used their gels before to adhere my Gel-X tips. So this one is actually a sensitive formula, meaning it's HEMA-free. And by the way, their packaging is amazing. Every product that I got from them was so well packaged, so beautiful, just a great presentation overall and great experience. But anyway, back to the Extend Gel. I hadn't tried it before, so I was definitely curious about like the consistency. So it is like a thicker gel, like I kind of mentioned. I'd equate it to kind of like a builder gel type consistency. So I don't end up using it for this video, but I did want to pick it up so I can try it next time. So for this video, I'll be using the Novice Extend Gel. I also picked up their gel top coat, and what caught my attention about this gel top coat is that it said scratch resistant. So they have a regular formula, and this one is the scratch resistant formula. So I was definitely curious if it meant it was more durable, so I wanted to give that a try. I picked up a few gel colors for the base of my ombre nails, and these are, I can't remember the name of the collection, but these are sheerer colors that are supposed to be really good for the ombre. So I wanted options, so I picked up two colors because I wasn't sure what would look best on me. So this first color is Fairy Wings, which is a lighter color because I didn't want something to look too dark. So I'll just swatch this really quick so you can see it, what it looks like on a swatch stick. I end up using the other color in the set for this video, but after the video, I decided I wanted to see what Fairy Wings looked like on me, so I actually buffed off the other color and tried Fairy Wings. So if you stick around to the end, I'll show you a picture of both just so you can see the differences on me and what the colors look like. This is my first time using Aprés gel polishes, and I have to say, I was really impressed with them. They applied so smoothly, so evenly, and I know they advertise like something about an upgraded gel polish brush that are in the bottles, and I don't know what it is, but I definitely did notice a difference. The next color I got was Vintage Carnation, and this is actually the color that comes if you buy the Ombre Gel-X kit, which I did debate on buying the kit. I had it in my cart, but I decided because there's other things I wanted to try. Like I wanted to try the Novice Extend Gel, and I wanted to try the scratch resistant top coat. So I decided to actually buy things individually instead. But I figured since this was the one that came in the kit, it probably is the best start to try. So this is the one I actually do use in this video. And it was a pretty color, but I thought I don't know, I just don't know if I liked it on myself, but I think it did work well for the ombre tips. So here's just a swatch of what that looks like. And here's a comparison of both the swatches. So you have Fairy Wings on the left and Vintage Carnation on the right. So you see that Vintage Carnation is a lot darker than Fairy Wings. And the last thing I picked up, and don't judge me because I know I don't need another flash cure light, is the Omni Light. I was super excited about this because it just looks so cool, and I don't think I've seen anything like this before. I mean, I'm not a huge fan of gold, but I think it worked for what this is, and it just looks so cool. And once again, This was packaged so well and so beautifully. So there's a little pamphlet in here that just kind of explains a little bit about the light. So it is rechargeable, so it doesn't have to be plugged in to use it, which I like. And once you turn on the light, I think it turns off. It's an auto shut off after 60 seconds. Also in the box is the light, which I'll get to in a minute, and then there's also the charging cord. So this is cordless, but you can also use it plugged in. But I have to say, the cord is super short. So unless you have an outlet super close to you, you can't really use it plugged in. So I don't like that all the companies always seem to give you really short cords, which I get, save money and all, but it sucks when you're trying to use it plugged in and you can't use it because it's too short. But anyway, rant over, let's get into this really sleek light. So it's super slim, it's super lightweight, and so you can see here, so it's got the on-off button right there, and it is a 60-second auto shut-off. And then right here is a little plug, so you can plug it to where you can unplug it and plug in your cord to charge it, or you can kind of plug it up so that no dust gets in there. And this is cool. Look, it's got extending legs, so you can stand it up, and then the top of it extends up and over, so it bends over so that you can use it hands-free. How cool is that? This is why I had to get this lamp, because I just love that it's like dual function of you can use it as a flashlight or you can use it as a hands-free flash cure. I mean, it's just so cool and space-saving. I know that was a lot, so let's go ahead and take a look at these tips and application of them. The box comes with 210 pieces and 14 different sizes, so I chose the natural square short tips because I wanted to try something a little bit different, and I want to show you the ombre here on the tip against my tweezers. So you can see at the cuticle area, you can see the hot pink of the tweezers, but at the free edge area, you can't see any of the color because it's opaque at the free edge. So you can see kind of how it goes from transparent to opaque to just kind of help with that. So this is the 00, so I want to show you what that looks on me. So it's a little too large for me, but I did want to show you what a 00 looks like. And the other thing that really stood out to me about these tips is the thickness of it. So this is the free edge. It is super thick, like much thicker than I'm used to. And at the cuticle area, it's nice and thin, which I appreciate, but I did not expect the free edge to be that thick. So I have other Gel-X tips from Aprés, and they aren't this thick at the free edge. Like, I can't even bend them because they're so thick. So I don't think I really like that about them. Like, I prefer my tips a little bit thinner, but I don't know. You tell me, is it better to have that thick of a free edge? Because even when I do like my dip powder nails, I don't have them that thick, so it definitely took some getting used to. So anyway, I'm going to go ahead and continue sizing out my tips, and then we will get into application. I do need a layer of gel base before I apply my tips, so I decided to go ahead and just use the Extend Gel, because if I were to use this to adhere my tips, I would use that as my gel base anyway. So even though I'm using the Novice Extend Gel, I'm still going to use this regular Extend Gel as my base layer for my tips. So I'm going to apply a thin, even layer of this to my entire nail, and then I'm going to give my nails a cure for 30 seconds. This isn't from my most recent haul, but I'm going to use the Gel-X Prep, which is an acid-free tip primer, and I'm going to use that to etch the inside of my tips. So normally when I etch my tips, I use my efile, but this is a way to chemically etch them. So I'm going to try it again. So I've tried it previously before, and my tips just popped right off really easily. But what I was told by a lot of people is I need to kind of scrub it in. So I'm going to give that a try and see if I get better longevity if I scrub in that liquid etch. So I'm going to do this for all of the inside of my tips. For application of the Extend Gel, I just like to scoop up a little bit of that gel around the cuticle area of that tip, and it's kind of trial and error to figure out how much gel you need. But I like to, after I've got that little bit in my tip, I like to use my cuticle pusher to push that down. I never want to touch the gel with my bare skin. So I could have used a glove, but you saw, well, if you saw the unboxing, that it's stuck to my glove. So I want to make sure that I'm using my cuticle pusher. That way I don't make a mess with the gel. And then once I've got that pushed down, I'm going to start at my cuticle area and slowly press down towards my free edge. And I want the gel to flow, which it is a thicker gel, so it's harder to flow. So I kind of have to apply a little bit of pressure just to make sure I'm pressing down enough to thin out that gel, make sure my entire nail is covered, that it is covering down to the end of my free edge. And then there is a little bit of spillage, so I'm just taking the other end of my cuticle pusher and I'm making sure that I'm cleaning that up before I cure it, because I don't want any excess gel on my skin. And so this is really easy to clean up. It just kind of scrapes right off. And then once I feel comfortable, I'm going to go ahead and give it a flash cure. And the good thing about this thicker gel is your tip stays in place, so I can let go of it. I don't really need to hold it while I'm curing it. So I just want to make sure it's straight. I'll turn on the lamp and then I will give it a flash cure for about maybe 10 seconds. It was really that quick and easy. So here's how the tip is looking. So you can see at my cuticle area, you can see my skin, so it's a little more transparent. So it was super easy, but like I said, the free edge is a little bit thicker. So I'm going to go ahead and continue on with the rest of my tips. I don't think you need any further explanation from me, so I'll just let you watch, and then I'll be back once I'm done for a little bit of cleanup. Once I finished with all my nails, I went ahead and gave them a full cure for 60 seconds in my big lamp. So now we're going to do a little bit of cleanup. So the first thing I'm going to do is at the free edge of the tips, there is that little tab. So I'm going to make sure to file them off and make sure my free edge is straight. Next, I'm going to use my e-file to do a little bit of cleanup, as well as I want to blend in the sidewalls and cuticle area a little bit more, even though I feel like they look natural. I just want to make sure that they're blending. So I'm just using my, I think this is a tapered diamond bit. I'm not sure where I got it from. It might be Kiara Sky. But the e-file is from iGel Beauty. So the e-file is my Model XS 2.0. I've been using it for, I don't know, 3+ years. It's my absolute favorite. I highly recommend the investment in it. If you do your nails a lot, it's really good to invest in a good e-file. But you definitely don't have to have an e-file. It just makes things a little bit quicker sometimes. And I'm actually less prone to cut myself with the e-file than I am with a hand file. Inevitably, anytime I use a hand file, I will end up cutting myself. And funny enough, like when I first started doing my nails, I actually thought that I was afraid of an e-file because I thought I would cut myself more, but it turns out that it was actually the other way around. But anyway, back to what I'm doing. So I was watching a video on these Aprés Ombré tips that they had released, and they were saying that the white on them is not actually printed on, that it's actually a white tip, so that if I filed, it wouldn't file through the color. I didn't file on top of it, but I did find that it did seem white all the way through. So that's really good to note as well, that if I do want to file on top, that I can do that without disrupting that white color. But I will say, and I know I've mentioned it before and I'll stop harping on it, but because the free edge is so thick, like my hope was that I could do these ombre tips, enjoy the ombre, and then when I kind of got tired of the ombre or wanted to change it up, that I could just dip on top of it, because I dip on top of my full coverage tips all the time. But there was no way I was going to dip on top of these because dip powder can be a little bit thicker. So I wasn't going to put something that thick on top of something that was already thick, if that makes sense. Overall, I think it was a really good experience using the Novice Extend Gel. I like that it was thicker, so it was easier to use, but it wasn't so thick that I couldn't apply the tips without my tips looking super thick. So I think it was like just the right consistency for me. So I will definitely be using this again. Since I'm going to be applying gel polish on top of the tips, I do need to rough up the surface because it's going to be too smooth for the gel polish. But instead of roughing it up with an e-file or a buffer, I'm actually going to use this Gel-X prep. So the same thing similar to what I did when I was etching the inside of the tips. I'm going to kind of scrub that on the surface of the tips, and that's going to help give my gel polish something to adhere to. And I'm going to go ahead and do my whole nail because eventually I'm going to need to top coat, even though the gel polish color is just going to go on like the free edge area and kind of fade down. I do want to do it on my entire nail just so that the top coat sticks as well. I decided to use Vintage Carnation for my ombre, so I just want the smallest amount of gel polish. So I've removed most of it from the brush, and I'm going to start right around my cuticle area, which typically I don't, but I don't want to polish my whole nail. So I'm starting around the cuticle area, and then I'm just very lightly with a light touch feathering down towards the center of my nail, creating that kind of natural fade ombre look. So it is easy, but at the same time, because you're not polishing your entire nail, you kind of want to be careful because you can go a little too heavy-handed, you can apply too much gel polish, and then you would get kind of like a harsher look and not like a really nice faded ombre. So you have to be really careful with this. And I have to say, I really like the brushes that come in their gel polish bottles. They have that rounded tip, which makes it easier to get around the cuticle area. They kind of fan out well. They're not too stiff. They're just really great brushes and made this easier. I cured my nails for 30 seconds and then I took a look at them to decide whether or not I wanted a second layer of that color or not. But I felt like there was enough color and I felt like it would be too dark if I did a second layer. So I decided to stay with the one layer, but of course it's personal preference. You could have done a second layer of color if you wanted. But because I'm sticking with the one, I'm just going to go ahead and apply my top coat and be done. So this is the Aprés scratch resistant gel top coat, and I have to say it was a beautiful top coat. It was super shiny, it applied easily. It's also got the same amazing brush in the bottle, so I really don't have any complaints about this top coat. However, I will say I didn't wear it for long enough, or I didn't wear the tips for long enough to validate the scratch resistant part of it, but it did feel really sturdy. As always, I'm going to finish off my mani by rehydrating my cuticles with my Scales of Mermaid Cuticle Balm. This is in the scent, I'll let you read the name yourself because I don't want to risk getting demonetized, even though it's not the word by itself. I don't want it to be misconstrued in any way, so I'll just let you read the title, but I have to say, best name ever. I don't know how Pat comes up with these, but absolutely love it. And this scent, oh my goodness, it is such a bright, crisp, like citrusy, but a little bit of floral scent. It is just so amazing. So that wraps up today's video. So my thoughts on these Aprés Ombré tips. Were they easy to do an ombre with? Absolutely. Were they worth the money? I'm not really sure. I wanted to love these tips so badly, but I didn't like the thickness of them, and I felt like it was easy to do an ombre, but I can see where you could easily mess it up and go too heavy. So it was easy, but it could be hard for someone. So I'm not really sure. I'm kind of on the fence about these. I may or may not use them again, but you can try them for yourself and let me know what you think. So I hope this video was helpful. I hope you enjoyed it. And if you did, I'd appreciate it if you gave this video a thumbs up. It lets me know to continue creating content like this. And it also helps YouTube recommend me to others, which helps grow my channel. If you haven't already, please consider subscribing. I upload content every Monday and Thursday at 9:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. As always, I appreciate you being here. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.